Alright, so I'm going to be talking about the book The Stand by Stephen King. Now, if you're not into long books, I would turn back now because this was a huge book. In fact, I think my Kindle said it was going to take me something like 60 hours to read. If that hasn't put you off, then here's a blurb.
First come the days of the plague, then come the dreams, dark dreams that warned of the coming of the dark man, the opposite of death, his worn-down boot heels trampling the night roads, the warlord of the carnal house and prince of evil. His time at hand, his empire grows in the west, and the apocalypse looms.
So, they say this book is one of Stephen King's best work he's ever done. Now, I don't know if I agree with that because I'm a huge fan of Pet Sematary, but I must say it was a good piece of work. The main things I loved about this book was the fact that Stephen King's usually about faraway concepts that aren't quite believable. I found this book quite believable. It's one of the best post-apocalyptic end-of-the-world books I've read, as it's quite realistic in the fact that I could see this happening. Like the ideas he put into this was ideas that actually could happen, in my opinion. What I didn't like about this book at times was it is a long book, and at the beginning of the book, some of the chapters were quite long and quite far apart. So he would go through chapter to chapter on different characters. So I found because these were such big chapters, I started to forget about the characters in other chapters. It got a little bit better at the end because the characters started to join together, but I did find it a little hard to remember the characters and to get to know the characters at the start of the book. So that's one of my issues. What I did like about this book is it was kind of a good versus dark, heaven versus hell, the good in people versus the bad in people. It kind of made you think what it would be like to be in that post-apocalyptic world where society's crumbled, and you kind of have to think, are you going to continue with society's values, or are you going to start looting? Are you going to be the person you were before? Are you going to go off the be a good person, bad person, that type of thing? What I also liked about this book was, unlike a lot of Stephen King's books, which are very far-fetched, like a demon clown and a Pet Cemetery that you bury things and they come back to life, this was quite believable. This is a post-apocalyptic world, and the way it happened, the world could very much turn out like that. It did have its Stephen King quirkiness, however. I'm not going to say it didn't. There were parts which were just crazy, like a pyromaniac who can sniff out weapons of mass destruction in the desert. That's always going to be a Stephen King book, but overall this book did have some believability to it. So because of all that, I'm going to have to say I'll give this book a 5.5 CalValStars out of 6. It's not the best book he's ever written, even though some people say it is. Pet Sematary is always going to be up there for me, but definitely a good book. I do warn you though, if you don't like long books, it's not for you. But if you can truck your way through it, it was well worth it.